Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Thunderstruck, our look back at the career, the greatest matches of one Jushin Thunder Liger, as picked by each and every unique standalone guest of this series. And I'm very excited about today's guest. He is one of the big kahunas over at voicesofwrestling.com. He is a former guest on my other series, Cruel Summer, and he's appeared on various shows at Post Wrestling, along with some of the shows John and Wei do. He is Rich Kraetsch. Rich, how are you?
What's going on, WH? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. I know it's as we record this, it's really early in the morning for you in Chicago.
I usually get up a little early. It is definitely early. It definitely would have preferred a better night's sleep before, but I got excited by the thoughts of Tiger Mask and Jushin Thunder Liger here, and I even jumped off a cherry picker to get ready for this review. So I'm pumped and I'm ready to go.
I'm deeply honored. I gotta say, like, this episode of Thunderstruck is continuing a nice, I think, very strong tradition of a very strong relationship between Post Wrestling and Voices of Wrestling. Besides yourself, I've talked to Dave McDonald and Joel Abraham of the Super J Cast, Sarah Flan of the Two Sarahs, and after your episode, I'm gonna have about like 3 more guests who do shows for voicesofwrestling.com.
Awesome.
I'm not gonna reveal who they are right now. It's all a surprise until we announce them when the shows drop on the site for public consumption. But I like to think that, Voice of Wrestling, Post Wrestling have a very, very good, friendly relationship with each other.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I'm a longtime fan. Even before I started Voices of Wrestling, I was a longtime fan of live audio wrestling, and Review Away was, one of my early, first real big forays into like wrestling podcasts was that show. So I've always had a kind of soft spot for John Way, and then of course stuff that you did, the stuff that you and Chris did back in the day in live audio wrestling as well. So it's I've always had a really good relationship with those guys, and yeah, anytime we're in the same place, I make sure to go and meet them and talk to them or whatever. But yeah, I'm huge fans of everything you guys do there. So yeah, it's an honor. It definitely is an honor. And yeah, it's not something that when internally when I'm not like, no, don't go on those shows, get rid of those guys. I wouldn't do that for any site or whatever. But I'm particularly excited when people say they're doing stuff with Post Wrestling, because I think you guys do a tremendous job over there. So yeah, I'm always really excited because I know I'm going to listen to it most times, not because I like just about everything you guys put out as well. So yeah, no, it's an honor to have that relationship and to be sort of as close as the two sites are. I think it's really cool.
It is definitely a thing that I'm really happy about, because I do enjoy pretty much every show you guys put out on Voices of Wrestling, and obviously indicated by like the amount of guests I have coming over from your site onto this show on this particular series. Let's shift over to Jushin Thunder Liger, and Rich, what does Jushin Thunder Liger mean to you as a wrestling fan, and what was your first exposure to him?
Yeah, so I my first exposure to Jushin Thunder Liger is probably, I mean, God, I couldn't tell you like the year exactly, but I just remember vividly going to the grocery store and always having Pro Wrestling Illustrateds or Pro Wrestling magazines, on the magazine shelf, and always just seeing this guy. And it was like, and this is way before I probably watched any Liger matches. So before I really could dive into it, because I mean, we're talking like mid 90s here, and it's not like I have an opportunity to, I'm like 8 years old. I'm not going to be, tape trading or whatever. I'm not going to be, finding any outlets. The internet hadn't gotten to the point yet where you could really go and download matches or find stuff. But I always remember reading about this guy, seeing pictures of this guy, and just going, dude, I want to find out more about this guy. He looks so cool, like the gear. And I bring that up a lot with people, and I think it resonates even today. The first time people see Liger, the last time people see Liger, whatever, is it's just like there's nothing like him in pro wrestling. He is one of the most unique characters of all time. He's one of the most different characters of all time, and he just immediately jumps off the page. The music, the gear, all that sort of stuff just tells you this guy's different, this guy's unique, and this guy's special. And then like you add in the in-ring. But yeah, for me, like it was really, I was picking up those magazines and reading about him and knowing that he existed. And then, I would later in life see him pop up in WCW a few times here and there. Unfortunately, I think my first foray into actually seeing Liger in, actual like live, matches was when he came back. I think it was either 1999 or 2000 when he was in WCW, which is absolutely horrendous. I think he was in the Tequila on a Pole match or some bullshit like that. So I was probably just like, oh, this guy's not that good, man. I really thought like he would be awesome or whatever. I quickly found out, once the internet rose and I was able to download matches and watch stuff like, oh, no, this guy's great. This guy's awesome. It's just Vince Russo who sucks. So it definitely was helpful then. And then, yeah, ever since, really being able to see the stuff and download stuff and go back and watch, like he's a guy that just, to me, and I've always been a huge fan of juniors and high flying. And I tend to think that that's probably my favorite style of wrestling if I was given, an option. And he's one of the really the patron saints of it, one of the best ever at it. And yeah, that's always kind of what I've respected of him. And now I've seen him live a few times, and I've seen every one of his matches over the last, 10 years or whatever, and gone back and watched a bunch of stuff. And yeah, he's just absolutely incredible. And he's just, his importance in the wrestling world is, I don't think we fully realized it. And I think in 2020, we will fully realize it once he's finally gone. And once we don't have him, because he's just been a part of the wrestling world for so long, and just a consistent part of the wrestling world for so long, so that when he's gone, I really do think that we're going to finally, maybe, I don't want to say appreciate him more, but maybe we're just going to understand how important he was to pro wrestling once he's gone and once he's not there and once he's not that reliable force. So you can just always say, oh yeah, Jushin Thunder Liger. Oh, here you go. Like, he's going to come out and he's going to have his sweet match and he's going to have his cool music. Like, he's just going to be gone, and we're not going to see that anymore. And that's, I think it's going to leave a huge void in the world of wrestling, because I think he's just been a tremendous asset for the last, 40 years at this point, basically.
Definitely. So his retirement match is coming up soon in a couple of months as of this recording on January 5th, 2020. And Rich, I want to ask you, like, what do you think? It's a two-part question. One is, who do you think his final opponent is going to be, and who would you like to see be his final opponent?
So I'm on record, even a few months back, saying that I would love Tanahashi versus Liger as the final match. Like, there's not really a ton symbolic about it, but I guess it's two guys that have sort of been synonymous with New Japan, over the last few decades. So I like that idea, but I just like the idea too of going out on that high note for Liger. The junior going out against a heavyweight, the junior legend of New Japan going against the heavyweight legend of New Japan, and I really just, like, a long time ago thought if they weren't going to do Suzuki and Liger on that night, and I'm kind of glad, having seen that match, that they didn't keep that one all the way till Wrestle Kingdom. I'm kind of glad they blew it off when they did. But if you weren't going to build that match for Wrestle Kingdom, I thought the next best match, the next best way to go out is against Tanahashi. Or the other one I thought of as well that I would really love is it going out against Hiromu as well. And now knowing that Hiromu's back and healthy or whatever, a real kind of passing of the torch moment where Liger can lose to Hiromu and kind of say, okay, the division is yours or whatever, now it's your turn or whatever to do that. As far as who he's going to face, I don't know. And they've done a lot of teasing towards Tanahashi, which has got me kind of excited. They've done little promos back and forth with another, and I don't want to get too excited about that. I really just hope it's not just like random old guy or like another random six man or whatever. But the fact that as of this recording, they have not announced it yet has me pretty excited that there's something that they have kind of held on to and something big that they're kind of waiting for. But I would really prefer to see Tanahashi, but I don't know that I have a real good pick of like who I think it will be.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed the anticipation, not knowing right now. I'm imagining they're going to announce it probably mid-December, maybe, on one of the Road to Wrestle Kingdom shows that they have in the following month, the month prior to Wrestle Kingdom itself. But my idea would be like I like your idea of Hiromu, because I really like the idea of the passing of the torch idea. I would even do it maybe for the title. It just kind of add stakes and kind of build like kind of this tension about like, he wins, like if Hiromu wins it from Will Ospreay the night before and then he puts it on the line against Liger, maybe they'll do something daring and maybe have Liger win and then he'll retire as the champion, and then like they'll have the title up for a tournament. Or I would like to see maybe Will Ospreay, because if there's anyone on that roster who can like really go out of their way to like kind of give Liger the best match, the most memorable match to close out his career, it would be Will Ospreay. And that could also like act as Ospreay's kind of swan song to the junior heavyweight division as well.
That's a great idea too. Yeah. I did sort of in passing mention Ospreay, but yeah, I do think that one would be really, really cool too, because as you said, it's both sort of a symbolic passing of the torch moment, but also possibly Will Ospreay's, okay, I've slayed the last beast of the junior heavyweights. I've slayed the legend of the junior heavyweights. Now I can finally move up to heavyweight officially and sort of be done with this. So yeah, there's a lot of good options, man. I just really don't want them to throw it away in some random 6-man. I don't want it to just be some random, old guy. I like the old guy 6-man that they're doing on the 4th, but I really want that last match to just be a huge moment. I want him to go out with a bang. I just don't want like a 6-man or a tag match or something like that. There's just so many different things they could do and so many different fun matches they can have. Pretty much Liger in a singles match against anybody would be awesome. If Okada loses the title or doesn't beat Ibushi on the 4th, he should just be like, you know what, screw it. I don't care about the tournament. I don't care about the tournament anymore. I don't care about the title. I want like something like that would be really cool. I mean, they're not going to do that obviously, but there's just a lot of different ways they can do it. And I just hope that they don't throw it away with just like a random 6-man or something like that. So
I'm very confident that they're going to give us something appropriate to the fans.
Because they would announce it. They would have announced it already if it was just going to be something nothing. Like there's a reason this has been held off, right?
I totally agree with you. Yeah, I think they're going to give something that the fans are going to be clamoring for. I do think it's going to help draw the 5th once they announce it. It's going to be one of those matches that's like, oh shit, I didn't buy a ticket yet. I'm going to buy a ticket now because I want to see, like, for example, Hiromu versus Jushin Thunder Liger for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title if he wins it from Will Ospreay, or Will Ospreay versus Jushin Thunder Liger. Those would get me in the door. Tanahashi versus Liger is a great idea. I won't be excited if it's fucking Liger versus 2019 Great Sasuke or 2019 fucking Ultimo Dragon, though. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, God. The Ultimo match. Ugh. The Sasuke one might be all right just because he'll put himself in a barrel probably and try to kill himself or something. So
That's true. That might be just fun to watch for the train wreck that it will be. But let's go to your match that you picked. Let's go to 1994, January 4th, 1994. And who is Jushin Thunder Liger facing in the match that you picked, Rich?
So he is facing Tiger Mask, but we're going to unmask Tiger Mask at the end of this, and I guess we should probably just do it anyway. It's a Voice of Wrestling staple to unmask masked wrestlers, but he's going to be facing Tiger Mask / Koji Kanemoto is what we're going to find out at the end of this mask versus mask match, which is important because we're talking about Tiger Mask. And at this point, you know, people that listen now, or maybe people that jumped into New Japan now, they know Tiger Mask as the current Tiger Mask, which is just like a dude, you know, just like a guy on the roster. He's fine. 10 years ago, he was a pretty big deal in the junior division or whatever, but now he's just a guy. He's just Liger's friend. He's just okay or whatever. The gimmick's just whatever. It is whatever Tiger Mask is. But in 1994, we're talking about this gimmick, which had just been passed on from freaking Misawa. The first, you have Sayama as the first one, and he's like revolutionizes junior wrestling as we know it. The next guy to take, don the mask is Misawa, who is probably, not even probably a top 5, an inarguable like top 5 wrestler of all time. And next, the gimmick is going to go to Koji Kanemoto. And it really, it speaks to at the time, Koji Kanemoto's, still pretty young in his career, still pretty early in his career. And this gimmick is going to be, it's just not going to fit with him very well at all. And we're going to talk about this match, too, where it doesn't quite fit all that much. So there's just a lot of weird stuff about this. It's a mask versus mask match. I don't think anybody, and you can even know from the crowd as well, that I don't think anybody anticipated that Jushin Thunder Liger was going to unmask here. I think everybody assumed that Tiger Mask was going to be the one to finally unmask here. But still, it's kind of fun to have that idea that in your head that, hey, maybe Tiger Mask or maybe Liger will unmask after this match. But I think it's an important match for a few reasons. We're going to talk about one is going to be the entrances. And this is like the first thing I ever saw in New Japan World were these entrances. I remember when New Japan World launched, I saw Mr. Lariato, the former senior Lariato, on Twitter tweeting out GIFs of this match. And all I saw was Tiger Mask take a gigantic, like fucking 1,000-foot leap or whatever the hell off of a cherry picker at the top of the Tokyo Dome, and then Jushin Thunder Liger dancing on top of a scoreboard. And I'm like, I need to see this. I don't know what's going on here, but I need to find out what's happening here. So this is actually, I think, the first match I ever watched in New Japan World. I immediately went, because I think he put a link in the tweets as well, and he said, hey, here's this match. And I think this is the first thing I ever watched. And I'm glad I did. It was really cool. The entrances, unfortunately, we'll talk about in a bit, are no longer on New Japan World, which stinks, because that's like one of the best parts of this entire match is these entrances. But you can find them. You just have to type in Tiger Mask Liger Battlefield 94, and you will find them, I'm confident, in nefarious ways. But the match itself, not a ton to write home about, not a ton to talk about. We will discuss it, though, a little bit. But I think the post-match, Kanemoto unmasking, and then sort of the future and the history and whatever happened with Kanemoto after that, I think is all really important. So the match itself, I don't know that it's like one that I would say, oh my God, you have to go out of your way to see. It's one of the defining moments of Jushin Thunder Liger, but I think it tells a pretty interesting tale of Kanemoto trying to find his place in this division, and Liger just being like the man in this division, and sort of that juxtaposition and the interplay between these two guys who would have, 100 more matches. I mean, God, like I think maybe legitimately like 11 or 12 more matches between one another in New Japan over the next, half decade or whatever. So just really interesting stuff in this match here. But I thought the biggest representation, which is, Kanemoto and how in some ways uncomfortable he was in this Tiger Mask role.
I think it's a good example of like you're saying, how Liger is the man in the junior heavyweight division at this time. This is 1994, and like how he is kind of like the flag bearer of this style that's like, I've always been a fan of the heavyweights in All Japan more than the heavyweights in New Japan, but for junior heavyweight wrestling, like the junior division in New Japan just kills everything else happening across the world, in my opinion. And Liger's a big part of that. And like the thing with like his relationship with Kanemoto is as rivals is that I think Kanemoto, Otani, and Takaiwa as a unit of this just black, trunks, black boots, very basic gear, them as a unit taking on Liger and all his allies, like El Samurai and Black Tiger and Wild Pegasus at the time, was just such a defining thing for that division and for, Liger himself as well. So I think this match is a really, interesting look at early Koji Kanemoto before he becomes Koji Kanemoto, when he's in this role as Tiger Mask 3. So we'll talk about that a bit soon. We'll talk about that more at the end of the match review itself. But I was looking at Cage Match. I was looking, what's the attendance listed for this Tokyo Dome show? This is a January 4th Tokyo Dome show. They list the attendance of this show as 62,000 people, and I'm calling fucking bullshit right now.
Yeah, they do a pan out here during these entrances, which I guess is not a great idea when you're going to announce 62,000 and then do a pan out to show these entrances. And yeah, the entire upper deck is empty, all around the ring. There's like, there's big rows or whatever. And like the worst part is it's like a very well attended show. It's probably like 20,000. It's probably maybe like 20, 25, maybe 30, but 62,000. I don't know where. There must have been 62,000 people on the other side of the camera, because there definitely was not 62,000 people on the camera shots they showed. Yeah, that's a tough thing when you're gonna announce a very, very fake attendance and then show the entire arena and show that like half that arena is empty. Which even on its best day, I don't think this was a 62,000 attended show.
Or maybe 42,000 people decided to go to the washroom at the same time.
That's possible. Yeah, they all said, the junior match, I'll be right back. And the entire upper deck decided, you know what, now is a perfect time for us to go. The part too is like the floor is like half empty too. And like, now you see it, and the floor is getting a little bit more full these days. But yeah, this one, like the floor is definitely not full. But I appreciate the ability to just absolutely lie and say, yeah, we sold the place out capacity 62,000, even though like there's like visibly, thousands of seats empty and available. But hey, I like it.
Are you implying that a company run by Antonio Inoki would be lying about the
No, God, no. I'm just, like you said, they were all going to the bathroom at the same time. They're all going to get their food. Because, this is the middle of the show. And they said, you know what, hey, we got, the Hellraisers coming up next. So I better get my popcorn and make sure I'm ready for, Jurassic Power's Hellraisers. So yeah, I'm going to, I get it. It makes all the sense in the world to go away for a bit and come back.
Definitely. Hellraisers is a very hot tag team of the team of Road Warrior Hawk and Power Warrior Kensuke Sasaki, which is a really fun team, actually. But anyways, we're not gonna, get on a tangent here. This match is surprisingly not for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, even though Liger is a champion at the time.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I don't. I guess the mask versus mask gimmick was enough to kind of do it for people. I don't know. It is kind of bizarre because watching this match, you kind of just assume it's going to be for the title. And then when you go and do your search and look, you're like, oh, it is a non-title match. That's weird. Like, you just kind of assume, like, so whatever, just put the title on the line too, man. Like, who cares? You're going to win. It is bizarre. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And I couldn't really figure out why it wasn't for the title. Maybe Liger just deemed Tiger Mask not worthy enough or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I guess they didn't want to do mask versus mask and title at the same time, but you probably could have gotten away with that.
I think so. Why not? It just adds prestige. I think he held it for like almost a year and a half or something, and he's only had 5 defenses, which boggles my mind. It's like, if you get held for a year and a half, you should at least have like a defense a month. It should be like up to like 10 at least, if you're going to hold it for like 565 days or something like that. But that's just me quibbling about things like that, I suppose. But let's go back to the entrance, because you touched on these a bit. But tell people what we see when we start this match. Basically, like you're saying, so Tiger Mask, and I think we should point out, this is not Koji Kanemoto on this cherry picker.
The first time I saw the GIF, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe he did that before a match. And then I realized that probably pretty unrealistic to tell Koji Kanemoto, hey, by the way, let's get in a cherry picker and dive off the top of the Tokyo Dome here at the beginning. But yeah, like I said, so on New Japan World, these entrances have been cut, which is weird because they weren't cut initially. And I don't know. I'm sure somebody realized that one of the, some of the music they used or something they used wasn't cleared or whatever. So it is not on there. But if you want to see these entrances, again, it is not hard to find them. Jushin Thunder Liger, Tiger Mask, Battlefield 94. Just search. I promise you'll find it. It's some nefarious means. But yeah, so what we see when we first get to this entrance is essentially Tiger Mask in a cherry picker being sort of brought up to the top of the Tokyo Dome. And now this, by the way, takes like 2.5 minutes. It's very long. It's like excruciatingly long to watch Tiger Mask, quote unquote Tiger Mask, I'm using air quotes there, get sort of ascended to the top of the Tokyo Dome. And you're wondering, okay, that's high enough. They're probably going to stop it there. They don't stop it. Okay, that's high. They wait until they are like, you can see the dome. Like they're at the top of the dome here, whoever the stuntman is or whatever. So essentially this cherry picker with a stuntman in there, it's stuntman Tiger Mask, gets to like as high in the Tokyo Dome as you could possibly be. And then this guy just jumps off into a giant cushion. It's insane. It's like it's so goddamn high. I mean, it like the shot they do is both awesome because you see how high it is, but then also because you see him fall onto like a pad or whatever. But like, of course he's gonna fall onto a pad. So I guess like I shouldn't be that upset. But I almost wonder if it would have been cooler if they shot it just a slightly different way to kind of maybe you don't know that he falls into the pad or whatever. So essentially he does just this giant leap from this pad, and then like 45 seconds later, Tiger Mask walks down the ramp in completely different gear, which kind of sucks too. Is that it's like, oh, why is it not the same gear? I don't know if they didn't maybe have two Tiger Mask gears or whatever. I don't know exactly how this happened, but it's still like a really, really cool looking entrance and really cool looking visual. But yeah, it's a little clunky and a little weird, but I enjoy it all the same.
No, me too. And I was watching this, so like this is my first time watching this match, and I'm like, wow, Kanemoto is going really high up there. Wow, he's not afraid of heights. What's he about to do? How's he going to get to the ring? I don't know. It's going to take like forever to get to the ring now. Like, this match is going to be like 40 fucking minutes or something. And then he's jumping. Oh, okay, that's not Kanemoto. I immediately knew that Koji Kanemoto is not diving however high the top of the fucking Tokyo Dome is onto a crash mat down below. That's not him. And as you said, quite quickly after we see Koji Kanemoto himself coming out of the entrance ramp to go down to the ring for his match against Liger. Let's move on to Liger's entrance now, Rich.
Yeah, so then they cut to the scoreboard at the top of the Tokyo Dome, and there's like a spotlight on it, and all of a sudden you see Jushin Thunder Liger, well, quote unquote Jushin Thunder Liger, just dancing, doing spin kicks, doing stuff, just being Jushin Thunder Liger at the top of the scoreboard, and this is even higher than where Kanemoto, quote unquote Tiger Mask was. It's insane, and I'm thinking, oh my god, this guy is gonna jump too. What the hell? Oh dear God, he's not. He's just at the top of the scoreboard. What the hell is he gonna do? And then all they do is just cut to the entrance ramp, and there's Jushin Thunder Liger running down. So not as spectacular because you don't have the dive, but tremendous entrances though, because it's like, why are you doing this? Like, why did this have to happen? But I'm so glad it did. I'm so glad that we got to see, Tiger Mask leap from, 1,000 feet or 100 feet or whatever the hell in the air from a cherry picker. And then just Jushin Thunder Liger dancing on top of the Tokyo Dome scoreboard and then coming down to the entrance ramp like 5 seconds later. So it's very strange, very weird. And I'm all here for it. So.
I quite enjoyed it myself. A little disappointed with the Liger part, but the Tiger Mask part, the dive was quite spectacular. Thank God it was actually a stunt person and not the real Koji Kanemoto, though. I
know. Oh my God. Like that. So, and like you said, I had the same thing as well, is that when they're lifting him up in the cherry picker, I'm like, wow, this is going to be a big fall for Kanemoto. And then like you said, it got to a certain point where you're like, okay, this can't possibly be Tiger Mask because they're getting very, very high. And there's no way, like, what are they going to do? Just lower the cherry picker? Then when he jumps, I'm like, okay, I really hope that's not Koji Kanemoto. I really, really hope. And then thankfully, when he comes out like 4 seconds later, you're like, oh God, thank God. Because, I can't imagine him of all people buying into, hey, by the way, Koji, we're gonna have you go up about 100 feet in the air and then do a dive. Like, I don't think Koji Kanemoto's down for that. But then yeah, when you see Liger at the top of the scoreboard and you're thinking, oh, how the hell is he gonna top this? I can't wait to see what happens. Is he gonna do a shooting star press off the top of the scoreboard or something like that? Thankfully, nothing happens and he just kind of walks down. I'm also terrified of heights, so like I was just completely nervous during this entire time, and it set the stage for a nice little part of this match too, where you're like, ooh, okay, like I'm a little weirded out, like I'm a little strange. I don't know why that happened exactly, but it gives you a lot of like, it gives that energy, and like you said, that's a big reason why I picked this match as well. Is it just shows you those juniors at that time and how important they were and how big they were and what they felt like on the show, because there's some spectacular entrances later in the show, but nothing matches these guys in terms of like what they were able to do and this sort of thing. So it's very weird, but it is in some ways kind of symbolic too of that division at the time.
Definitely. So we are actually going to talk about the match itself, people, not just the entrances here. So we start the match off. Liger and Tiger Mask are in the ring. Liger puts his hand out for a handshake, but Tiger Mask, being Koji Kanemoto, decides to slap him in the face instead. Very Kanemoto-like. And this match starts with this really intense lockup and a really salty strike exchange, Rich.
Yeah, this is like really, honestly, we're going to talk about it. Maybe my favorite part of the entire match, because yeah, it starts out as like, Liger wants to make this, a gentleman's match, and Kanemoto it does not into that. So he slaps and they just go at it right away. And it's really awesome early stuff here. And yeah, in many ways, because we talk about how the juniors and the heavyweights had their little differences or whatever, this is where we see that like at the end of the day, everyone is doing kind of the same style in some form or fashion. Later in the match, it's not going to be the case. But in this form, like this could have easily just been like, I think what was the main event, like Tenryu versus the Tenryu versus Inoki. Like this felt very much like that Tenryu versus Inoki, like early beginning where they're just slapping each other, hitting each other, showing who's the bigger man, who's the stronger man or whatever. And yeah, this part of the match really, really rules, and you really get caught in this idea of like, oh shit, this match is going to be super intense, super crazy, super nuts this entire time. And unfortunately, this is probably one of the higher peaks of the entire match, is this opener.
Well, things do slow down with both guys trying to wear each other down with a variety of holds. But Tiger Mask does start peppering Liger with these stiff kicks and then gives him a Saito suplex. So, there's like the kind of like the ebbs and flows of this match are happening early on. They start trading moves again. Tiger Mask with grapevine head scissors on Liger, and then Liger reverses into a camel clutch on Tiger Mask. Liger shoots Tiger Mask into the ropes and catches him with a Tilt-a-Whirl backbreaker, one of his signature moves, one of my favorite moves of Jushin Liger.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's a great move. I'm almost like annoyed that more people haven't stolen this move, because like I remember doing this in the video games all the time. Like anytime I created a wrestler, I immediately gave him this move, because it's like it's awesome. It's a backbreaker. It's a great transition move. It looks awesome. It's just, yeah, it's super powerful. And I feel like we don't see a lot of it these days. And I'm amazed by that. I would feel like everybody would steal this move, because it's just a great impactful move. It's a great way to sort of start selling the back. It's a real cool way to start kind of working on that body part for the rest of the match or whatever. But I feel like a lot of people don't do backbreakers, and a lot of people don't do this tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Maybe it's like an homage to Liger that they don't want to steal it or whatever. Maybe when he retires, everybody will take it. But I'm just amazed that more people don't do this move, because it's spectacular and it's awesome. But really nobody does it like Liger. So maybe I'm glad that more people don't steal it.
Well, maybe it's not memeable enough for people in wrestling.
That's true. Yeah, it's not a Spanish fly, so that's true.
Liger then applies another one of his signature moves, the Romero Special. And then he does the thing where what I love most about the Romero Special, where he he kind of shifts his opponent to their knees, and then he like grabs a chin lock, and then he transitions that into a Dragon's Sleeper, which the first time I saw this, Rich, I was like blown away. I was like, oh my God, this match is over, because that looks like a finisher to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it feels like at that point, like that could be the ending of the match or whatever. It really does feel like, especially, knowing what the finish is going to be, and knowing that, if you're spoiled and knowing that Liger's going to win this, you're thinking, okay, well, he could put this guy away and that's it. That's it for Tiger Mask. That's it for the gimmick. And we can kind of move on a little bit, but it does feel, and the crowd, you can hear the crowd too. They buy into this potentially being the finish as well. As he transitions into that Dragon Sleeper, they really go, oh no, this has got to be it. Like, how does he get out of this? Like, there's no way. He doesn't have the use of his arms. He doesn't have the use of his legs. Like, there's no way. Like, he's going to be done here. So yeah, the crowd was right with you too in buying in that could possibly be the finish.
Tiger Mask does escape this move by going after Liger's eyes, and then he follows that up with a big stomp to Liger's face while Liger is on the mat. Liger and Tiger Mask then trade a series of of kicks, and then a capo kick from Liger, until, Tiger finally goes down on the third capo kick. So basically, it's Liger hits a capo kick, gets up, hits another capo kick, and then finally hits a third one. And this is the capo kick that, does send Kanemoto out to the floor, I think. No, actually, wait, it's like, I'm getting ahead of myself, though. A fourth capo kick for good measure. So he's basically Kenny Omega with these capo kicks, Rich.
See, I know people think it's new, but nah, man. See, these spamming your moves have been like, I always hear people go like, oh, this guy's spam, and I'm like, you should really go watch a Keiji Muto match if you think like guys doing the same move over and over again is like a new thing. It's not a new thing. Like guys did it all the time. Maybe there's people that do it maybe a little bit more egregiously, but go. It's not a totally new thing, but again, it's a cool way in this because it does tell a cool story that Tiger Mask did break free of the Dragon Sleeper, the Romero special hold that you were saying, and because he used the eyes and because he stomped on his head, this is when Liger just basically goes, all right, dude, you know what? I tried to be nice, I tried to be fine, I tried to kind of give you the handshake, but you're just being a total ass. So you know what? Fuck you. Like I'm just gonna work on you. And this is when you see Liger ramp up the intensity on his level and really start just trying to put this guy away with whatever moves he can and really tries to do whatever he can to kind of hit some stiff kicks and stiff moves or whatever. And this is when the crowd really starts. There was a lull period a lot of this match where the crowd's really just not that into it. But this is where the crowd finally starts saying, okay, cool. This is what we came for. This is what we want. And this is what, what we're hoping for out of this match. So it's a really cool sequence here where, yeah, he's just trying to chop down Kanemoto and just really just knock him out and finish this thing off.
Yeah, for like you're saying about the escalation of moves, Liger from the fourth capo kick, Liger goes to the top rope for a drop kick, but Tiger Mask catches him in midair with his own drop kick. One of my favorite moves that anyone does, like Brian Pillman was really good at doing like the midair drop kick, catching someone coming off the top rope, even including in matches with Jushin Liger. Tiger Mask goes for an armbar unsuccessfully and transitions into a mount, and then he starts raining down these punches on Liger and a stop to Liger's face again. So he really hates Jushin Liger's face.
He does. He really does. And at this point too, you can tell that like Koji Kanemoto should probably not be Tiger Mask anymore. Like when you see this stuff, that like, okay, this dude is like, he's meant to just be Koji Kanemoto, guy in black trunks that just fucks you up. You know what I mean? Like this is like really where it shined in. I mean, we'll talk about a moment a little bit later too, where it's just like, okay, I think we're done with this Tiger Mask thing forever because, we said, the two prior Tiger Masks, Samora, he's like, he revolutionizes, junior wrestling. He's completely changes the game. He's like the pivotal like junior heavyweight that really kind of gets it going. And Misawa is a guy who could fly with the best. Like obviously we'd see Misawa in what he would be able to do, later in his career. But like at this point, and especially in the Tiger Mask world, one of the preeminent high flyers in the world at that point. And you get Koji Kanemoto here, who does, from time to time do some flying moves, but you could tell how awkward the flying stuff is compared to how not awkward the mounting and punching portion of Kanemoto's, or the kicking portion of Kanemoto's offense. And I think it was in this moment too where you were like, oh dude, like yeah, he's miscast as Tiger Mask, and he'll be a lot better once he loses his mask and just becomes whatever he's going to be. And you see it in this moment too where it's just like, oh yeah, he's so much more comfortable just being a total asshole that punches you. So
yeah, Tiger Mask hits a series of chops to Liger's chest, but Liger fires back with a nice shote to the face. So he's like saying to Kanemoto, you want to kick me in the face? Well, I'm going to shote you in the face, motherfucker. Right. And he wraps up Tiger Mask's head in a figure four head scissors. Tiger Mask turns the tide with a leg grapevine. The attack continues on their feet with Tiger Mask tying Liger up in the corner where he hits a big drop kick to a wide open Liger. So he's got him like, he's got to kind of propped him up like a scarecrow in the turnbuckles in the corner, and just like wallops him with this big ass drop kick. And to your point, like Misawa was never comfortable being Tiger Mask. I think the greatest thing that ever happened to him was like him taking that mask off in the middle at the end of that match with like him and Kawada against Jumbo and someone else. And then the same thing with Kanemoto. He's not comfortable being this character because I do think that the shadow of Satoru Sayama, the first Tiger Mask, is just too great for anyone else to take up this mantle, including Tiger Mask 4, our current incarnation. He's okay being himself, but he doesn't try to be Sayama that much, but he's a lot more comfortable in the role than Kanemoto or Misawa ever were.
Yeah, like I always think Misawa gave it a pretty good effort, but like you said, once he realizes, wait a minute, it's way cooler if I just like use stiff punches and awesome suplexes and awesome shit like that. Like that's a lot better. He in his early Tiger Mask run was fine at it because he's just a tremendous pro wrestler, so he's okay. But quickly you can, as if you go back and watch some of those like late Tiger Mask stuff, you can see like the Misawa kind of peeking through that and being like, oh yeah, this isn't for him. That he's much bigger than this. And exactly the same thing with Kanemoto here, where like he tries to do like some flips and he tries to do some stuff like that, but it's just like it looks so weird and so awkward. And it's like, yeah, that shadow of Sayama, the shadow of like, oh, all you have to do is like recreate like the greatest junior heavyweight of all time, or like the preeminent junior heavyweight. That's all you have to do. You know, that shouldn't be too hard. You know what I mean? The guy who revolutionized this entire style of wrestling, like just follow what he did and do his moves or whatever. It's very tough. And yeah, it's kind of an unfortunate. It's nice that like now what's kind of happened with Tiger Mask 4 is that we've sort of gotten used to it just being like he's just a dude. You know what I mean? Like there's not this pressure to be that, where I think at this time with Tiger Mask 3 and especially with Tiger Mask 2, it was like, oh, you're following up, as you said, you're following up Sayama, you're following up this Tiger Mask, you're following this lineage. And it's also the point too is in like 1994, I think, and you might be able to speak more to this. I think the whole Tiger Mask, like the anime, well, like wasn't even not even around anymore. Like I don't think it had that connection of people like it did in you know the early 80s, right? If I remember correctly, it wasn't even generationally, you know, important at this point, right?
Well, no, not at all. I think like you see it more recently, like they came back with a Tiger Mask W. That's why, you know, like Kota Ibushi was Tiger Mask W for a short period of time.
Excuse me, he what? Hold on, what?
Oh, did I unmask like, Tiger Mask W as Kota Ibushi? Yeah, oh no, what have I done?
He changed a single thing about how Kota Ibushi wrestles. They just put him in a Tiger Mask thing, and he's just like has abs and like a perfect body, and then he just goes and does like the triangle moonsault. Like, does exactly the same Kota Ibushi moves, and I love that. You know, he wore the mask, but then decided like, yeah, I'm just gonna do everything that I would normally do if I was Kota Ibushi. Like, just not even any pretense that he's like somebody else. I love it.
It's great. He's so Kota Ibushi. You don't want him to change. From here though, let's back to the match. Tiger Mask hits a backbreaker on his knee and goes for the moonsault. So it's very similar setup that Keiji Muto does for his moonsault. But Liger rolls out of the way. Tiger Mask is able to save himself. He lands on his feet, but Liger hits him with, guess what, Rich? Guess what he hit him with? Another capo kick.
A dragon screw. Oh.
The V capo. We should just call it the V capo at this point.
I like that. That's a really, there we go. So maybe Kenny comes back and on January 5th and they just have a V trigger versus capo kick. Square off. I'd like it. That'd be cool.
Well, that's if Kenny can get back into the country, you know what I mean?
That's true. Oh, right. That's right. Yeah. If Harold can finally let him in. So.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. We see a Liger running drop kick that sends Tiger Mask to the floor, where Liger follows up with a sliding drop kick, and then he tries to psych out Tiger Mask, turning like kind of this handspring rebound that he does. And then Tiger Mask catches him, though. He slides back in the ring, and he catches him with a drop kick of his own. And it's just really a nice sequence of like, you know, they're familiar enough with each other. Tiger Mask has like got him scoped out, scouted him out a bit. And then just like, I just thought the seamlessness of like these series of moves that led into this counter from Kanemoto.
Absolutely, yeah, and it should be mentioned as well. These guys have had 4 singles matches at this point too. Usually, mostly like in like '92 when they were still pretty young and still pretty, or Kanemoto, I should say, still pretty young. I mean, Liger obviously had been around forever at that point because he's the oldest, youngest man ever. But yeah, so they'd already had a few matches prior to this. But it should be noted as well that Liger won every single one of those matches as well. So Kanemoto is the kind of the story here is that he's starting to become a little bit more familiar with Liger. He's starting to kind of know what Liger's going to do, but at the end of the day, it's still like Liger's still better than him and still a little bit smarter and a little bit more of a veteran. But you do see it a little bit here where it's like Kanemoto is like, aha, I know what you're going to do. Aha, I got this. So there's some fun little counters that happen in this point where you maybe for a second feel, and I think this is the first time the crowd also felt like, oh, maybe Tiger Mask will win this match. Like for the brief moment, they really, because it wasn't very long. Like I think they almost 100% thought that Liger was going to win this, but there is a brief moment like right around this point where people maybe have a little bit of a wrinkle in their heads that, oh, maybe Tiger Mask will win this. Maybe this is a huge changing in the guard moment where Liger unmasks and Tiger Mask is now the junior legend or whatever. And it's really only during this part of the match that it really feels like there's even a hope, any bit of hope for Tiger Mask.
Oh, definitely. So with the drop kick from Kanemoto that sends Liger out, Kanemoto follows up with a plancha dive, driving Liger into the guardrails. He sends Liger back into the ring. He plants Jushin Thunder Liger to the mat with a big body slam, and then he hits a moonsault for the 1, 2. Only a 2, Rich, because Tiger Mask pulls him up. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You could have beat him. But no, like, he wants to be smart. He wants to be too smart for himself. He wants to beat him with a Tiger suplex instead, which he does not beat him with a Tiger suplex in this match. Liger hits a standing switch instead, but Tiger Mask escapes that, but Liger catches him with a draping clothesline. He then hits a big powerbomb. I love Jushin Liger powerbombs. I think, like, I like them more than, like, Sid Vicious powerbombs.
Oh, they're the best. Yeah. And a lot of people have stolen this Liger bomb and used it to perfection. But yeah, it's an awesome move. And yeah, I just love the impact that he hits people with. It just, yeah, it looks great. Like I like the ones where you come down with the guy as well, because it adds a little bit more noise to it as well. Like the big men should do the power bombs that they do, the Kevin Nash's, the Sid Vicious, those sort of guys where they just lift them up and just toss them to the mat or whatever. That stuff's cool. But for anybody that's not like 7 foot tall, come down with your powerbomb like Liger does, because it just adds so much more impact, and you're immediately in a pinning combination too. So it's really cool. I love the Liger bomb.
Yeah, from here, Liger places Tiger Mask on the top turnbuckle and hits a top rope Frankensteiner, but only for a 2. He goes for another Liger bomb, and then another 2 for that. Tiger Mask versus another powerbomb attempt and gets a 2 on Liger. He rolls through that, basically. Tiger Mask puts Liger on the top turnbuckle himself and drop kicks him off of the top turnbuckle and onto the ramp, where he hits Liger with a handspring body press. I just love this sequence, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really, really cool stuff here. And we kind of glossed over it a little bit there, but Kanemoto lifting up Liger instead of getting the 3 count is something that, like, if you watch the rest of the series between these guys, is going to be a constant thing. That Kanemoto is just such an unbelievable prick and such an asshole that he just can't get the victory. Like he has, and in many of the matches, we'll talk about, maybe some of the other ones later, he has Liger like beat, and he's just like always tries one more move or always tries one more thing, just because he's just kind of an asshole. Like he just can't get a normal, like, gentleman's victory. He has to embarrass the guy. And this is another case too, where he has this win probably, but decides, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to really prove that I'm better than this guy, and ends up biting him in the ass. And like you said, then now Liger starts ramping up his activity and starts really kind of being in the driver's seat and gets back under control of the match. And yeah, really, really awesome handspring here as well.
Well, Shinjiro Otani also has the same problem with Liger in his matches.
Yeah, no, just beat Liger. Just beat him 1, 2, 3. Like, that's brag. You can brag about beating him later. But yeah, these guys always want to lift them up at 2. It's like, all right, whatever.
From here, Tiger Mask misses a diving headbutt. I was wondering if this is a botch or not. What do you think?
Oh, man. Yeah, I think it was. And this is exactly the moment that I was like, all right, dude, lose this mask, throw this mask away, and never think about it ever again. I think it was. I think he was supposed to at least get close. So I don't think he was supposed to hit Liger, but I think he was supposed to be within 15 feet of Liger. Instead, he because he trips off the rope. It's obvious that he does. There's something, I don't know what they were going for here. I don't know what happened, but the crowd definitely took it as, oh, this dude just fucked up. Because you can hear the immediate, where, the crowd just has this droning, oh, God, because it looks like he slips. I don't think he was supposed to hit the diving headbutt, because that wouldn't make sense with the finish. So you're supposed to miss something, but he misses by 7 feet. And it looks like he trips off the top rope. But I don't know if that was his goal, was to look like an idiot, do it. I don't know what the plan was here. The plan was obviously to miss something and to not make it a successful move, but I don't know if it was supposed to be missed as much as it was or whatever. But the crowd definitely took it as a botch, and I think I take it as a botch, but it's very bizarre and very weird. It's the match just you feel so awkward in this moment too, because you're just like, oh boy, I hope this is going to be the end of the match, and thankfully, as you're going to say here in a sec, we're in the final stretches here, which is good, because yeah, the crowd at this point is just like, all right, dude, you suck, we're done with you. Liger's the best. Let's move on. And yeah, it's a very, very weird moment in this match, and the match just kind of hits this weird point from this, really from this point forward.
Well, I do note here that you can hear one particularly enthusiastic Jushin Liger fan expressing her concern for Liger very clearly. I don't know if you noticed this.
No, I didn't know. What did she say? I didn't.
Liger!
Oh.
Liger! Liger, son! Like this. It's very cute. It's very endearing. It's kind of the precursor to, like, if you watch early, Pro Wrestling Noah, Kenta!
Yeah,
Kenta!
right. Oh, God, I love that, yeah.
He, like, on a tangent here, Kenta was probably the most over guy with the female fans in Pro Wrestling Noah.
Oh, can you blame him? He's a hunk, so I don't blame him at all.
No, but you also had Marufuji, as well. But it's like, it seemed clearly that Kenta was like way higher on the totem pole for like the female fan, like attention more than Marufuji was.
Yeah, well, honestly, if I had to pick, I'd go Kenta, I think, And I think people like the bad boy. You know what I mean? They like they want to write the bad boy. They want to turn. I'm sure you've dealt with it. They want to you're a bad boy, and I'm sure that's what happens with all the time. Is they want to turn you. They want to make you a better man. So I think that's the Kenta thing. Is it's like Marufuji's like, yeah, he's nice. He's the guy you marry, but Kenta's the guy you date. You know what I mean? Like Kenta's the guy you bring home to your parents, and they're like, oh, I don't know about this guy.
Well, definitely definitely the Iconics think that. If you ever watch their Instagram, like when he was still in the company.
Right, exactly. Yeah, there's that attraction to like the bad boy or whatever, and yeah, Kenta especially at that time too. He's listening to that hip hop music, and he's got all his chains and stuff. Yeah, I think I get it. I absolutely get it, but.
Definitely. Let's get back to the match. There's a missile drop kick that sends Liger down. There's a German suplex with a bridge on Liger, but Tiger Mask only gets a 2. And you're right, Rich. We're hitting the tail stretch of this match. There's another body slam, and Tiger Mask hits a beautiful second rope moonsault that he turns into a twisting senton, a very signature Kanemoto move, one of my favorite moves in his arsenal. He goes for a twisting body press, but Liger rolls out of the way. Liger plants Tiger Mask with a backbreaker and hits the shooting star press, a very rare move for Liger, and he gets the 1, 2, 3 in 14 minutes and 26 seconds, but with the entrances, maybe it's almost 30 minutes.
Absolutely, yeah. If you add those in, it does add a little bit to it, and I would recommend. I mean, New Japan World obviously is a tremendous service, but if you get a chance to watch the other very legal videos that are out there of this one, I think it is a little bit more impactful because you do get to the entrances and you get a little bit more of the pre-match stuff too, where they're just staring at one another, and you can tell that this is like a big rivalry. And at this point it's probably Koji Kanemoto. I think the crowd knows it's Koji Kanemoto or whatever. And there's this idea of like, this is mask versus mask. Like, this is a big deal. This is a important deal here. And the New Japan World unfortunately cuts it like right at the beginning of the match, so you lose a little bit of that extra juice that you get in the match. But yeah, it is still, it's not a great match. It's not a tremendous match. It's not a match that I think you absolutely have to watch. It's not one that I think like you can't finish the career of Jushin Thunder Liger. You can't, end your pro wrestling watching of Jushin Thunder Liger and not see this match. But I do think it's important. It's symbolic, and it's a fun match in a lot of ways. And it does sort of, as you said at the top, it tells the tale of where Liger was at this point, where the junior division was at this point, and where one of his greatest rivals was at this point too. Because Kanemoto is gonna he's gonna take off the Tiger Mask and throw it at Jushin Thunder Liger, which I think is awesome too. We talk about these very symbolic unmaskings that happen in lucha, and these very symbolic unmaskings that happen. In this case, Tiger Mask takes off his own mask. There's not any of this like pressure or, oh no, I don't want to do it. He just goes, all right. He just unties it, throws it at Liger, rubs his face, gives him a handshake, and just kind of has this idea of like, dude, I'm gonna kill you next time we're in the ring. Like, I hate you so much type of a vibe to him, which is really, really cool. And I love that finish too. And I think New Japan World keeps that in there, which is definitely something you need to check out, is just how emphatic and ready it feels like Koji Kanemoto is to lose this Tiger Mask gimmick, lose that mask, and be ready to kind of kickstart the next half of his career.
Oh, definitely. He goes on to become one of the greatest junior heavyweights in the history of New Japan Pro Wrestling, along with Shinjiro Tani, Tatsuhiro Takaiwa, El Samurai, Minoru Tanaka, one of his tag team partners later on, would join the company from Battle Arts. It's just an amazing career that Koji Kanemoto has. And I echo the sentiment. This is not a great match. It's a good match. Doesn't hit the levels of like, say, his matches with El Samurai or Kanemoto as Kanemoto himself or Shinjiro Tani, but the context is important, I think, for why you pick this match. Is like, it shows like how Liger kind of drives people to become better wrestlers later on in their careers if he's facing them on early on and then he's dominating them. Like, he's kind of pushing these characters to like kind of elevate themselves by trying to beat him. And then when they do beat him, they reach that status of becoming stars themselves, which is one thing I love about Liger's career. Is like, he is so unselfish. He goes out of his way, and but he's not like, he doesn't prostitute like beating him to like just that easily. He just says, okay, I'm going to beat you all these times, this part of your career. Later on, when you're ready, you're going to beat me handedly and you're going to become a star. And he does this not only in New Japan, he does this in Dragon Gate. He does this in like Osaka Pro Wrestling, for God's sakes, and Michinoku Pro as well. It's amazing how unselfish Jushin Thunder Liger is.
Absolutely. And I think one of the important parts too, and you mentioned it happens with Otani as well, it happens with Kanemoto throughout his career as well, is that there are visual points during the matches where those guys have Liger beat, but it's like it's like their internal struggle. Kanemoto's internal struggle, Otani's internal struggle, and we see it a lot of times with guys against Liger. Their internal struggle is what really defeats them more so than Liger. Liger takes advantage of that, but it's like, I think it's a cool little aspect there. And it's a small little thing. It's like kind of the minutia of pro wrestling where some guys don't give that little nugget there. Like, some guys that dominate divisions will just beat a guy. You know what I mean? Like, they'll just in this case, like if Liger was selfish or whatever, he just would have beaten Kanemoto. There never would have been that 2 count with the lift up, and they would have just been, he finished him off with the shooting star press and he won. And then like, he could have done that and that would have been fine or whatever. But the idea that you have that visual in your head that, oh dude, like Tiger Mask had it, but he blew it because, internally he blew it. He got too worried about it. He got too focused on something else and he just couldn't finish it off. We saw that even a few years ago with Naito and Okada, like the match, Naito had that match won at the Tokyo Dome. He had the match won and then wanted to go for one more Destino, one more thing. And then I love that. New Japan's always been really good about that too, where like the internal struggle, that's what costs guys matches a lot of times is like they have the win, they have it done, but they want to prove a point. They want to show that they're better than this. They want to show the world that they're better than their opponent or whatever, and not just by pinfall, but really, really drive it home that they're better than their opponents or whatever. And we see that, you go back and watch main events too, and I do the series on the Voice of Wrestling Patreon called Kings of the Tokyo Dome, where I go back and watch, the 1-4 Tokyo Dome main events. And you see that a lot too with, and Tanahashi does it time and time again, where he goes for that second high fly flow. It's not enough to hit the one high fly flow. He's got to try one more. Or Okada, tries one more Rainmaker. And New Japan's always done a great job of that. And I think it's a great way to protect guys. And like you said, get more people over, get both guys over in the match, because it's like, okay, that guy might have lost, but it was obvious that he had it won. He had a mental hurdle. And in this case, we see that here with Tiger Mask, where Tiger Mask has this match won. Whereas there's going to be other matches between Kanemoto and Liger where he has the match won, but he decides to do one more thing, drive home one more move, do one more. And like, I think a lot of the credit has to go to all the wrestlers, but Liger, I think, establishes that almost more than anybody, where like guys have him beat all the time, but they, for whatever reason, he brings something out of those guys who they want to prove a point to him. They want to prove that they're better than him. And that ultimately is what sinks a lot of those guys. It would ultimately allows Liger to win a little bit more, which then, like I said, the story there, and you mentioned it too, is good because it shows that both guys are kind of on equal footing. It's just on this night, in this occasion, Liger was just the better, smarter, more veteran worker. But there's always that nugget then of like, okay, well, next time they go out there, Kanemoto's not going to do that, and then he's going to beat him. And that's sort of what you're left with. And like you said, yeah, that's a great way to push guys, and it's a great way to get both people over. So yeah, Liger's tremendous in that respect.
Yeah, definitely. And that brings us to the end of the match review itself. But before we go, Rich, I'm doing this audio series as a tribute to the great career of Jushin Thunder Liger. But Voices of Wrestling is doing something similar in print form.
We are, yeah. We're doing the Liger Beat series, which you can follow at voicesofwrestling.com, and that's where we're going year by year over the career of Jushin Thunder Liger. I don't know that we're going to get through every single year. We tried our best to do that, but there's a lot of years and a lot of matches. We're going to do what we can with that. So we have the Liger Beat series up at voicesofwrestling.com. We're also including that in our New Japan Year in Review ebook, which you can also download at voicesofwrestling.com. If you're not aware of what that is, it's basically, we've been doing this for, I think since 2014, I want to say was the first one, where essentially at the end of the year, we go through and we do profiles on every single wrestler. We have stats on all the wrestlers, all the results, and all that sort of stuff. And we compile it into an ebook. There's essays and whatnot. And Liger Beat is going to be in that as well. So if you want to have every single Liger Beat article, kind of easy to read in one place, the ebook is a great option for that. That's available on Amazon as well, the Amazon Kindle store, or it's available at voicewrestling.com for a name your own price too. You can download it for free if you want, if you just want to check it out, or if you want to, you can name your own price. You can give us $50, you can give us $5, you can give us $1, you can give us $5,000. I recommend $5,000, but you can decide whatever you want to pay. That's fine. But we do split up the profits between everybody that writes and everybody that does art for the book as well. So we really do recommend, if you are going to download that ebook, you maybe download it for free to check it out, but then maybe go back, and if you liked what you saw, give a few bucks, because like I said, everybody that contributes to the book will get a piece of that. But you can find information on that at voicesofwrestling.com, or just look up Voices of Wrestling New Japan 2019 ebook, because we'll have all the Liger beats in there too, and I think we'll have some additional essays about Jushin Thunder Liger as well, because people are excited and they want to write about him, because unfortunately this is the last time we're going to be able to write about Jushin Thunder Liger in this book. So this is kind of a crowning or kind of a final moment here. But yeah, the Liger Beat series has been a lot of fun to go back and look. And a big reason why I chose this match is because I went and looked at the 1999 Kanemoto Liger match for that series and found a lot of very, very similar things. And that's why when you came up with this idea of Thunderstruck and said, hey, what match do you want to do? This is the first one that came to my mind, because I was like, ooh, this does have a relation to that 99 match that I just recently watched as well. So really good stuff there. VoiceOfWrestling.com for the Liger Beat series, and also VoiceOfWrestling.com 2019 New Japan Year in Review ebook, if you want to just search that, or go to VoiceOfWrestling.com to download that. We would really, really appreciate it. So
yeah, just as I'll put out a ringing endorsement for the New Japan ebook. I bought my copy last year from Amazon Japan, just because I just wanted it straight go to my Kindle. It was the easiest option for myself. It's not expensive on Amazon. What was it, like $5 or something?
I think it was 5 or 6. I forget what it was. And yeah, that price is going to remain this year as well. So it's like, yeah, it's not much. And like you said, yeah, we have available on PayHip, and that's like you get an EPUB version of it. But yeah, if you want to just have it directly on your Kindle, if you're a Kindle reader, yeah, you go to Amazon and just search it up, and yeah, it's like $5 or $6. I think it'll be $6 this year, and yeah, it's that's chump. I mean, you get there's 900 pages in this thing, so I'm telling you,
it's worth it, folks.
It's not a lot. Yeah.
It's worth it. Trust me. I read it. I bought it. I read it in one sitting. I couldn't stop reading it. It was so good. I learned a lot of things, and I follow New Japan very closely, but I learned a lot of things reading the book. There's a lot of great stats in there. If you're a stats person, I'm not, but I still found it fascinating. But definitely check out the New Japan ebook on Amazon or on voiceswrestling.com. And I gotta say one thing about that. I think Voice of Wrestling is probably the best site for articles and essays about wrestling, Rich. It's just something I think you guys do better than anyone else in the game, personally, from my own point of view.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, when I first started the site, that was my entire goal. We kind of found our way into reviews and previews and all that sort of stuff. But my idea really was to just be columns and just be deep dives or whatever, which is tough, because you do not get that a whole lot in wrestling for whatever reason. People are attracted to news, and they're attracted to reviews, and that's it. And I get why sites do that. I absolutely get sites that do that. I think of all the news sites, though, I will say, as we're kind of putting our sites over, I think Post Wrestling, especially John Pollock, does an incredible job with the news, because instead of just embedding tweets into an article and then releasing that as an article, you know what I mean, which a lot of other sites do, I like that John in his daily news updates will give his opinion and give some commentary or whatever, because I think that's what people go for. I mean, but I know the business of pro wrestling websites is that you want to just get as much stuff out there as humanly possible, and we've always resisted that. That's why I still go to my job. That's why I still punch a clock every single day, is because instead of just embedding a Sasha Banks tweet into an article and saying that's our news story or whatever, I've always driven anybody that writes for the site, anybody that contributes to the site, anybody that wants to write to the site, is to go in terms of essays, go in terms of columns, and really anybody that starts writing for the site, I always tell them, before you do a review, before you do previews, before you do a podcast, do columns, do essays, because I think that's the best way to sort of explore what you like in wrestling and what you're passionate about in wrestling as well. So I appreciate you saying that, because yeah, that's always been my goal with the website, is to do those columns and do those things. And they don't always get the most clicks, they don't always get the most retweets or whatever, but I feel the most proud reading some of those articles, and when they do hit, they hit well. And yeah, that's a great thing about the ebook as well, is that we collect a lot of essays from people, not only from Voices of Wrestling, but also across the internet. I do an open call to anybody who wants to write about these. And this year, we've gotten some really, really good stuff here. We've got like PhD students that are like, hey, I want to write this thing that's like dissertation level about, Okada. I'm like, yeah, dude, great. Like, that's awesome. So I'm really excited about this year's edition too. But no, that means a lot, WH. I appreciate that.
Maybe I'll do an article for the ebook about how visas work in Japan.
That would be, you know what? Honestly,
it's a joke. It's a joke. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, come on.
But folks, let me just tell you, there is no way Harold May can keep Kenny Omega out of Japan if he wanted to, and he doesn't want to. Anyways, I don't want to go on a tangent about that. Rich, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. I know you are super busy, just normally doing stuff for Voice Wrestling, your day job, and just trying to keep up with the wide world of wrestling in 2019. There's so much shit out there to watch, so I appreciate you taking the time out to watch this match again. Come on here with me to talk about it. And where can people find more of you?
So more of me, at Voices Wrestling on Twitter. You can also follow the website, as I mentioned, voicesofwrestling.com. We also have a Discord channel, too, if you want to get into discussions with listeners and ourselves. Voiceswrestling.com/Discord is a great opportunity for that. And then I host the Voices Wrestling Flagship podcast. So you can listen to that, of course, at voiceswrestling.com, or just look up Voices Wrestling Flagship or the Voices Wrestling Podcast Network on whatever podcast app you choose. Is a great way to do that. And hey, I got a bonus as well. If you like basketball and you like basketball history, you like sports history, I also co-host the Over and Back Classic NBA podcast, where we go and look at facts and stories and players and games and all that stuff in the past of basketball. So that's at Over and Back NBA on Twitter. Also Over and Back NBA. .com is where you can listen to all those episodes as well. So yeah, I got bonus stuff as well if you want. And last but not least, I guess I should mention as well, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. We do some bonus content as well. Myself and Joe Lanza, the co-hosts of the Voice Wrestling Flagship, do plenty of stuff there, including right now I have the Kings of the Tokyo Dome series going on, where I'm looking through every one of the January 4th Tokyo Dome main events. So you can check that out at voicewrestling.com/Patreon. I think that would be relevant to a lot of people listening to this if you want to go and check those out. But really, really good stuff there. But yeah, no, I really appreciate this, WH. It's an honor. I have a lot going on, but I will always make time to jump onto post wrestling and especially to talk to you about anything. Any series you have, because I think you do a great job with these, and I like listening to these as much as I like. And that's the only problem with being on this one, is I don't want to listen to this episode, so it sucks now, because now I have like one episode of Thunderstruck I can't listen to, so that kind of stinks. But because I've listened to every single one, but I'm never gonna listen to myself. Like, why would you ever do that? Like, only maniacs listen to themselves. So that's why I'm a little upset now. I have like a gap in my podcast listening at one point, but it's okay. It's well worth it.
No, you guys, you and Joe Lanza are killing it recently on the Flagship. I just, all this crazy shit that's happening in wrestling, I want to hear your guys' takes on it, along with, like, of course, John and Way's takes on it. But 2 hours of you and Joe just going on about like, like whatever crazy shit's happening in wrestling is always entertaining for me. I will say this, one thing I say about the Flagship, I don't necessarily always agree, but I'm always entertained by the opinions of you and Mr. Lanza.
That's it. That's what it's all about. Yeah, that's really like that. That's kind of it. With you, I don't want a show where everybody always agrees with everything that we say and everything that we do, and that's the good part, is that, like, even if you're like, these guys, they're so wrong, but I gotta listen. I want to hear what they say, and I like that. That's kind of what we were always going for as well, is that you might not always agree 100% with what we're saying or what we're doing or whatever, but as long as you're entertained by it and you keep coming back, that's all we really ask for. So
one of these days, I want to hear the late night version of Rich. We get late night Lanza sometimes, on the Patreon side, but I want to hear late night Rich one of these days.
See, late night Rich doesn't really exist anymore, because late night Rich also wakes up at 6 a.m. to do podcasts with WH. So like Joe Lanza doesn't, so you can get a late night Lanza. You get early morning Rich a lot of times, where, stuff you hear on the Patreon. People don't know, but I'm recording that at like 5 a.m. before I go to work, or, in this case, like you said, it's Saturday and I woke up at like 6 or whatever, because my damn dogs wake me up, and I'm a terrible sleeper and I can't fall back asleep. So yeah, you don't get the dulcet tones of Rich Kraetsch, but you get the very early morning sipping his coffee, Rich Kraetsch.
Well, it's how we say in Japanese, a very genki, very energetic Rich. So I'm always happy about seeing that version of you, hearing that version of you as well. So once again, thank you, Rich, for joining me here on Thunderstruck. I want to also thank the listeners who've been giving me great feedback. People have been enjoying this series. Thank you so much for listening. Keep listening. We got a lot more episodes coming up, including a ton of people from voicesofwrestling.com appearing on future episodes. But until the next episode, I want to say to everyone, I'll see you on the next episode, and goodbye.